Hello, my name's Paul Barnett, the host of the Great Coaches podcast. And on this video, I'm going to share with you 8 things I've learned on building team culture from the more than 200 great sports coaches that we've interviewed on the podcast. The organisational and management theorist Peter Drucker is often credited with the expression, culture eats strategy for breakfast. And it's something that the great coaches we interview definitely agree with. Culture is one of those terms that can often be difficult to define. But in this example from rugby union coach Connor O'Shea, he describes it as the environment that encompasses the whole team.
My mind has shifted on this magic word of culture, and I think culture is more the environment you create, and the environment you create is the people in it. And yes, you talk about values and all these other things, but it's creating an environment creates a culture.
And as the netball coach Tamsin Greenway told us, environments like this are where you want to be even when you've had the worst day.
Anybody that's been in a good culture can't write down what a good culture is, because you shouldn't be able to, because it's constantly evolving, it's constantly changing. At the time, it's something special. You want to be there, you want to buy in. Even when you've had the worst day of the world, that's the place you want to be, with the people you want to be, giving up the time, especially in netball.
Great coaches have developed a pattern recognition that allows them to step into a team environment and through observation and listening, judge what type of culture is within the team. Here is the iconic Australian rules football coach, Neil Craig, giving an example of this.
I could come into your company tomorrow, and I reckon if I spent a week there, I could tell you what the culture is without even talking to anyone, just by observation and listening. Observation skills and listening skills. Because I'd better at the end of that week, no, not in every different situation, but I'd better at the end of that week sit down and say to you, this is the way you do things around here. And to me, that's your culture. It's what you actually do. It's your behaviours that you exhibit. So I'll be able to tell you the way you communicate with people in a meeting. Hopefully in that week there would be some adversity. So I'd be able to actually say, this is how you handle adversity. This is how you handle errors. This is how you reward people. This is how you handle people that are maybe struggling with the environment. This is how you handle a poor sales. This is how you handle a loss. This is how you handle a win. So to me, that's culture, is the way we do things around here.
We often ask the great coaches we interview how you go about building culture. And they talk about 7 building blocks, which we'll take you through now.
Number 1 is a vision.
The first of those building blocks is setting a vision for the team. And here is the Australian cricket coach, John Buchanan, explaining this idea.
From there, it is about dreaming. I think certainly in business, certainly in life, certainly in sport, I don't think there's sufficient time allowed for dreaming, just what could be, what's possible, not be constrained about impossibilities. It just seemed to me that that is so important to what a coach can do, because with that vision, it means that then everything that you do, irrespective of results, is hopefully taking a step in that direction. And if you don't dream and you don't vision, then I think, one, you're limiting your current capabilities or capacities, but you're certainly putting a limiter on how you're going to deal with the future. How are you going to stay in front of the game? How are you going to potentially win games, win tournaments, win events, win over a long period of time? What are the type of people that you need to help you chase down that dream? What are the type of support systems that you need to support those people and support yourself to be better at what you do? And part of my philosophy is always about creating a vision.
Number 2 is behaviors.
With a vision in place, you then need to talk about the type of behaviours that you want to put in place as a team as you pursue that goal. Here is the Australian coach Rick Charlesworth talking about these behaviours and how they link with the vision.
You've got to have, as I said when I talked about leadership, you've got to have definition about where we've got to go and how do we want to be seen, and what are the things that we would like our club to be remembered for. And then you've got to identify those characteristics, those behaviours, and you've got to develop them and grow them in the group and convince the group that this is a place to be. At the same time, you've got to win enough to keep going and hold on to the job and do all the other stuff. So this is a hard thing to do. You've got to juggle a few different balls. But I think it's about where do we want to get to, what's realistic, and how can we get there, and how do we want to be seen, judged. And so you've got to map out, if you like, a pathway and then embark on it. And you better work hard, you better set an example, you better tell people that it'll be rocky, not everything will go right, things will go wrong, but we can find our way and hopefully measure progress. And you need long enough to be able to do that.
Number 3 is guardrails.
With these behaviours in place, you then need to establish guardrails that set out the bookends of what's acceptable within the team. But often when you set these out, you need to treat people fairly, not necessarily consistently. Here is the rugby league coach, Tim Sheens, explaining this idea.
My personality is to work with the individual and try to get, you reason with them, you help them, and you show interest in them, you generally get a result. Now, the difference is, though, I use it's not mine, I got it from an American coach. I can't recall exactly where, it was that long ago, but it was be consistent with treating everybody differently. Now, that is a 29-year-old veteran and a 19-year-old rookie are two different people. And so if they're both playing in the same team, you've got to treat them differently, but be fair. So it's a matter of working. I prefer to work on that system. You've got to know your player, know your people. And that's just not your players, that's your coaching staff, that's your general staff, that's the office staff, that's the CEO. You've got to know how to handle them as well.
Number 4 is a trademark.
To strengthen the behaviours and guardrails, some teams then create a team trademark. This was an idea that we first heard when interviewing the netball coach, Lisa Alexander.
I guess the trademark came out of the beliefs that the players had at that time. One of them was to be true. The second one was to believe and belief. And the third one was to be an intimidating force. So they were the three kind of behaviours that they wanted to display. And then they talked about the history, honouring the history and traditions of the game and leaving it in a great place. So the Sisters in Arms was born out of Geitste saying, well, how do we feel when we're on the side of the court and we're singing the national anthem, we've got our arms around each other? And that's where it came from, Sisters in Arms.
Number 5 is belonging.
A great culture then creates a sense of belonging, which connects people to a sense of tradition that motivates them and propels them. Here is the baseball coach, Peter Giles, talking about this.
It's more about people feel as though they're part of something much bigger than just being a player from between 2 o'clock and 5 o'clock on a Sunday. And all the good teams in the world, in any sport, there's just that feeling that they feel as though they're part of something, that they're part of a family or they're part of a tradition. I love the things that many college teams do where they tap a sign before they leave their locker room. There's that culture and feeling of history, and I love all of that, because when you put on a Guernsey, we have a sign as they leave the dugout in Essendon Today you have the honour of representing Essendon Baseball Club. So it just creates that sense of it feels special to play rather than it's a chore to play.
Another example of creating this sense of belonging comes from the English soccer coach Alan Smith, who talked about giving players that had newly arrived at the team a copy of the team's history, and then asking them questions and giving small quizzes through the pre-season so that he could strengthen their understanding of the club that they were representing.
Fans spend a fortune on going to games, and I don't think some players, not all, just quite understand what it means. So what we did at Fulham was that we have something called Fulham's history, right back to the great Johnny Haynes and when the club was being developed. And Kevin would sign each copy to the player, and I would give it to the player, and then every so often we'd have a little forum, not to embarrass them, but just to ask them something. For me, look, the shirt means everything, and that's not me being sentimental about it. I just think it's too easy for players today to be in transit. I think you need to know the company that you work for, who you're mixing with. So for me, it will be key, whether it's key for the players, again, I just make it mandatory. This is the history of our club.
Another way some coaches talk about creating this sense of connection and belonging is by bringing in past players to connect with who is presently representing the team. Here is a great example of that from the rugby union coach, Rod McQueen.
You can't make a culture. It's like a cake, it's got to be made, it's got to come together. Just little things like making sure that we had the classic Wallabies come and present the players with the jumper, but to learn from that past and to let them see our culture. So much we bring those players.
Number 6 is ownership.
With a cultural framework then created, you need leadership in place to keep it aligned and focused. In fact, when it comes to culture, many coaches talk about leadership as being the most important element. Here is the Australian rules football coach again, Neil Craig.
But every environment that I've been in, either what I would consider to be world-class or as rock bottom as you can get, both of those have been tied to the leadership. So I actually want to know if I'm going to employ you in a senior leadership role, I actually want to know what you think. I actually want you to paint the picture about a whole range of different situations that we spoke about just recently. Selection, management of staff, empowerment, leadership, captaincy, whatever. I actually want to know what that looks like. And then what happens, of course, is that you can tell me what that looks like, but in the end, the real test is what you do and your capacity to drive it and to reward it and to challenge it and to live it, basically. I'm sorry, it gets back to leadership again. There's no magic bullet.
And when it comes to leadership, there's two ideas that the great coaches talk about. The first is that it needs to be top-down and leadership-driven from above. And here is an example of that philosophy from the rugby union coach, Damien McGrath.
Whoever's driving a team or an organisation, they're the culture because they're the people who set the standards. If they're inclusive and if they can make an environment welcoming, then everybody wants to be part of it. And even I can still remember my team. I'm 60 now, and I can still remember my teachers from primary school because 3 of them were just great storytellers. They used to read books and do little voices, and I can still see their faces and remember their names because of how they made me feel. Their lessons were just that way. And my life's full of people who made me. I remember them from how they make me feel.
The other example we often hear is that leadership needs to be player-led or participant-driven. And an example of this comes from the German basketball coach, Olaf Langer.
I learned that the culture is as much driven by the players than it is by the coach. And if the key players and the coach work hand in hand and understand each other, the culture pretty much drives itself.
Number 7 is regular reviews.
With a framework in place, it's then important to take time to regularly review your culture. Here is an example from the volleyball coach, Alan Knipe.
I think that's what's changed my leadership the most, is putting culture at the top of my list of my programs that I coach. And it doesn't mean that X's and O's and blocking and serving, all that's not super important. It just means we have to constantly spend time maintaining, building our culture. And if it's good, water the green spots and work on the brown spots.
I hope you enjoyed this video and found a couple of ideas that you can bring back to your team to strengthen its culture. If leading high-performing teams is something that's on your agenda, then why not check out our website, thegreatcoachespodcast.com. There you'll find loads of material like this that will help you produce a thriving team and develop your own leadership skills.